Point checking, everybody. Welcome to a Friday edition of House Divided right here on Orange Bloods Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum, joined as always by Chad Hastings. Do us a solid, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, all three. Just get them done. And welcome to everybody jumping into the Specs chat. We love your comments. We love your super chats. Fun day scheduled for today. It's like a 4-day weekend for kids all over the state. My kids are in the Conroe. I can never remember if it's Conroe or Spring. They're in one of those school districts. They're off today. So we thought, you know what? With kids off from school today, we should just get one of them on the show. And that's what we've done. 2026 running back commit Racing Guillory will join us in about 20 minutes. We'll talk about his Texas commitment. He's a sophomore, about to be a junior. I'm curious, just what do sophomores in high schools think about their commitments? And what does it mean that he'll still take visits but still be committed? We'll ask him all those questions, get to know him a little bit. We're also just going to talk some running backs today, Chad. All week long, I've seen various rankings of position groups. Everybody seems to like the Texas Longhorns running back group going into this season. But I don't get the sense that anybody thinks that either C.J. Baxter or Jaden Blue is going to be one of the best in the country at their position. I saw a top 10 running backs list the other day where, Ollie Gordon is basically thought of as one of the best players in college football, but there wasn't a Longhorn running back to be had. And I thought, you know what? Before we talk to Guillory today, let's take stock of that position, what we think about it, what the expectations should look like, it's a really deep room with a lot of really good players. And I wonder if, unlike a season ago when there was so much conversation, Chad, about who was going to be the starter with Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson off to the NFL, and was it going to be Jonathan Brooks? Was it going to be C.J. Baxter? Will that conversation cause a guy like Blue to transfer? I don't know that we're going to have the same level of stress over who starts because of what we saw at the end of the season with the way Sarkisian used both of his top backs.
So to me, since it's Sarkisian, let's just start with 1,000 because that just seems to be what happens each and every year. Even though last year there was a discussion about, is it a committee? Are the carries going to be spread out? Are the yards going to be all spread out? At one point, I think you gave me a buy or sell that someone would get 1,000, and I said no. I thought it would stop, but it didn't stop. 1,139 yards for Brooks, and then those other two guys now, which one of them takes the reins? The math would tell you one of those two guys is going to get 1,000 every year. Sark has been a head coach. He has 1,000-yard running back. It's just a fact. Baxter was at 4.8 a carry last year. Blue got up to 6.1 on less carries. And catch the deal by the end of it was there were some that really, Baxter would certainly showed us a lot of stuff last season, but by the end of it, Jaden Blue was also showing you some bursts, showing you good feet, showing you at times bigger runs, more impactful runs than what Baxter was giving you. So that's kind of where the discussion starts. And, but the one thing we seem to know, for all the little issues that can pop up every once in a while with Sark, he's going to get you 1,000-yard back. And now the question
is, they're going to have 1,000-yard back this season for sure?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just saying yes, because even when it doesn't feel that way, they figure out a way to get that done. It's just kind of an interesting byproduct of his offense. Because you and I think would both argue, he never feels like a coach who unnecessarily runs the ball. Ever. Maybe you could say in Tuscaloosa when he was closing the clock out, maybe, but he's not a guy that runs just to run, yet 1,000-yard back every year. You can't ignore it.
Well, the thing is, Jonathan Brooks, that number might have been closer to 1,500 or 1,600 had he not gotten hurt towards the end of the season. It's kind of incredible that they were able to crack that 1,000-yard barrier, considering the Brooks injury. He didn't get a full season. I can remember thinking last season about, will they get a 1,000-yard running back? And I was like, well, if they play in the Big 12 championship game and a bowl game, that's 14 games instead of 12. It didn't need all of that ultimately when it was all said and done. I haven't once thought about the 1,000-yard thing since the season ended until just now, until you just said it. And I think one of the real interesting things about the running game, in a way, the Brooks injury calmed this discussion down in a big, big way. If Brooks ends up rushing for 1,500 or 1,600 yards, leaves, and we don't see the Baxter-Blue combo play as well together as it did, they really make for a really good 1-2 punch. And I think probably never was that more apparent than in the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma State, where they used the full power of the running game Death Star. They mixed in Keelan Robinson into the run game a little more than they had. And it was just like, oh my God, these guys' talents blend together really, really well. Had that not happened, I think we go into this asking, can Baxter be the guy? Can Blue challenge him? Do they have a real lead number one back? I don't know if that last question can totally be answered. I don't know that I think that either Blue or Baxter will definitely be one of the top 5 to 8 running backs in an SEC that's always going to have really good running backs. We were talking about this on the modcast yesterday. A&M's running back group looks a lot like the Texas running back group. I don't know that they've got a dominant guy, but they've got 3 really good players. That's, if that young 5-star freshman who's going to be a sophomore next year starts to take off a little bit more than he did in year 1. But, you look at Moss. What's the other guy's name? Is it Daniels?
Daniels, yeah, Amari Daniels.
Yeah, like both of those guys, every time I watch them play, it's like, okay, those guys are good. You look at Oklahoma, kind of the same thing. Maybe we're just now in an era where there's a lot more duos than – because Alabama was like that a year ago. They kind of – I don't want to say platooned their running backs, but they certainly played a lot of guys. And I think the thing for Texas this year is that the running back group, the room might be even deeper than it was a year ago. They lose Brooks and they lose Robinson, but they add Christian Clark, who's one of my favorite freshmen in this recruiting class. They actually are adding a couple of really talented freshman running backs. They return Savion Red. They've got pieces, and it'll be interesting to see who fills in the Keelan Robinson role. Is there a guy that naturally kind of assumes that? When Roschon got drafted, it kind of seemed like Savion Red took over that role as the red zone, wildcat running back.
Right. We got somebody on the chat with an idea. What about Wisner? Where does he fit into all of it?
I mean, if we're being completely honest, he probably fits in 4th or 5th right now on the totem pole. And he showed up immediately as a really good special teams player. I think he's shown that he has the talent to play at this level. But it's going to be tough sledding this year to get on the field unless there are injuries. Blue and Baxter are going to get the majority of the running game carries, and it will be up for Wisner. Like, he's got to crack that glass wall down. If he's going to play a lot, the assignment's pretty easy. And because Blue and Baxter complement each other so well, I don't even think it's as easy as just go be the best guy. It's got to be, if you're taking snaps away from one, you've got to replace the skill set that they bring to the table. Wisner's not really, I don't want to call, he's like a hybrid between those two things. He's certainly not the speed guy that Blue is, and he's not quite as big physical. He's not the big kind of the big back that Baxter represents when you look at, the size that he brings to the table. It's a diverse running back room. I don't think I don't know that this is a year that they have 1,000-yard running back. I tend to side with you. I can't tell you who. It's probably going to be either Blue or Baxter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's obviously, duh. That's not rocket science. And maybe it comes down to, does one guy get nicked up at some point in the season, allowing the other guy to have more of a lion's share of the carries? But what we might see is that if there's an injury, all that really means is that the duo or the trio just switches in a player from this outside group of players that are just trying to get on the field. It's a running back room that goes about 6 deep, and all of those guys are going to want to play. All of them, I think, can play. So the question marks look completely different from a year ago when you suspected that Brooks could be the guy, but there wasn't a big sample size to draw conclusions on. You didn't know anything about Baxter. Blue was a guy that they didn't even trust to play in the Alamo Bowl game. They had hyped up Blue so much a year and a half ago, not even that. I guess it would have been like 14 months ago going into the Alamo Bowl game. And then in the end, they didn't play him. And they basically played Keelan Robinson as the featured running back. And Jonathan Brooks was a little bit disabled and injured in that game and made an impact, but still wasn't at 100%. So you came out of that game just not really knowing anything about the Texas running game. Whereas I think we go into this season, maybe we can't answer the 1,000-yard question definitively, but I think we know that this is a really good running back backfield. And there's not going to be, I think, a lot of conversations about can they play. They prove that. Now it's about, is there another level for this group to go to? I think we look at Baxter when we look at Blue and say, of those two guys, is there one more than the other more destined in 2024? Not in their careers, but we're talking about immediately now. Is one of those two guys more likely to be the 1,000-yard running back over the other as we sit here in February?
Got some thoughts coming in on the chat. We appreciate everybody jumping in. Wes asks, has Sark had a year without a 1,000-yard back? As a head coach, I believe that's a no. I believe there's a 1,000-yard back every year. Wes, go double check our numbers on that. Another chatter, Eastside says Baxter will be the 1,000-yard back. Blue's going to have a ton of all-purpose yards. That's an interesting way to look at it. That could obviously take some yards to a receiving category catch. Blue showed us those moments too. If it's one of the, you were one of the first people I remember reacting to how sudden Blue looked as a back out of the backfield. If you're going to throw swing passes to one of those two guys, I'd want it to be Blue because, man, when he got out there, it was pretty special last year.
Can I just say the controversial thing out loud?
Sure.
I think Jaden Blue is better than CJ Baxter.
All around. Everything.
All around on any given play, if you're asking me who do I want to see touch the ball more than the other, I'm a Jaden Blue guy. He's the guy that feels like he can go 80 on any given play. And I like guys that just the threat of giving them the ball threatens the defense with points being scored on the scoreboard. That's not an anti-CJ Baxter take at all. Again, we're talking about 2+ running backs. Their skill sets are not the same. It really is having an apple in one hand and an orange in another and trying to argue that one is a better fruit than the other. I mean, it's a completely subjective take at this point because I don't feel like there's enough definitive data to point to one versus the other. But I think Blue is the more explosive back. And I know that when he was on the field towards the end of last season, Chad, that's when I would get excited. And whereas Baxter, by the end of the year, you were seeing Baxter, I think, show off what his strengths are. He is 7, 8. You know, I mean, he's there were times last year it felt like he was almost moving the chains every carry. That's how effective he was when he wasn't carrying that ankle injury that was hobbling him early in the season. I'm just a little bit more excited by Jaden Blue when he's on the field. If I had to pick one guy, I would go Blue, but I also don't think he's the conventional 20 carries a game guy. He might be a guy that's wheelhouse is between 10 and 15, maybe a dozen, just to kind of like set a very generic ballpark on it. He's a guy that I think you probably want to get 12 rushes a game, maybe mix in between 3 and 5 catches. And now he's getting the ball 15, 16-ish times a game. And I think Baxter will probably get approximately the same number of touches. I could see these two guys combined week in and week out getting 30.
Yeah. And hey, who says they can't both have 1,000 yards, right?
It's not impossible.
He's got one every year. 2,000-yard running backs. Catch, they do that in the SEC all the time. Every year, they just pump those out. We could list those. It would take all day. By the way, how about this?
Chat is the passing game that they may throw for so many yards this year.
No, that's it.
Maybe that's the thing. The only thing maybe that keeps them from getting to those kinds of numbers.
Yeah, that's what I always assume is going to end the streak for Sark. I just assume that his penchant for wanting to see the ball thrown is going to have it be a 900-yard back one year and not 1,000, but he's been proving me wrong. Real quick catch, kind of off topic, but not really. Gabe says Olive Garden is projected 99 in the upcoming EA college football game. Quinn is 97.1. I can't wait. Gabe, we appreciate that.
Gabe, I saw that. That's the dumbest goddamn thing I've heard of in a long time.
99 for Ollie Gordon?
Ollie Gordon is not a 99. He's just not.
Oh, my God.
If he's a 99, what would Ricky Williams be?
107?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If you tell me that truly great players get to be 107, cool. If 99 is as high as it goes,
right?
And that's Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that Ollie Gordon is the same level running back at Oklahoma State. They're not. Ollie Gordon is a very good player, but he's not a 99.
Does he deserve to have it start with a 9?
Yeah.
Like a low to mid 90 guy. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not an expert on this EA scoring system, but if you just told me Barry Sanders is a 99, then Ollie Gordon is what? Like a 92, 93?
Something like that. Yes.
Right? By the way, I don't know the release date. Do we know officially? Has it happened? Do we have like a June something or May? I haven't heard the release date for EA Sports yet. Y'all let us know if you've heard about it.
The thing is, if Ray Sign comes in a little bit, the segue could be he's a 99 at the Texas high school football level right now. Yes,
there you go. Yes, Racine Guillory from Aledo coming up here in just a couple minutes. It'll be interesting to talk.
Sign. I've got to, the other thing is I look at his first name. I think you're pronouncing it right.
Well, there's also nickname possibilities too.
Well, you could. I feel like the first time I looked at it, I thought it was Racing.
Yes,
and I thought that would be a cool first name.
Yeah, but it could be. Yeah, you're right. It could be Ray Sign. Does he go by Ray? Is it Ray? Because Ray Guillory is a pretty cool name. You just turned him into an SEC running back, didn't you? I mean, either way, it's a great name no matter what. We'll find out. We'll find out what he prefers.
Yes.
Coming right up. Real quick, before we do that, let me remind everybody, great place to go. Maybe you don't have plans this weekend. How about a little Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room? Yeah, it's always a good idea out there in Dripping Springs. Today, it's 11 to 7. Thursdays and Fridays, 11 to 7. Saturday, 11 to 5. 12 to 5 on Sunday. The barbecue's incredible. They've got a great barbecue truck right there on site, Crimson Creek Smokehouse. 8 different flavors of vodka. You want to sip the vodka, do some flights, they've got it. You want to do those cocktails, they'll do that for you as well. It's just a great environment. Take friends, family, go gather out there. Just have yourself a good time out in the hill country. Weather's been good lately. So get on out there and enjoy it. Tell them we sent you here at Orange Bloods Live. Deep Eddy Vodka and that luscious tasting room sounds pretty damn good. Racine Guillory coming up. Catch, he's an interesting case for me because, again, we're talking about a sophomore in high school. Let's be clear here. But I see him listed here at 5'9", 177. Not the biggest back on the face of the earth. And he's listed as an athlete in most places. So, but Catch, you can tell from that film. I rewatched all 11, 12 minutes of the latest huddle film from him today. They are making the point that he's a running back.
I think of him as a running back.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fancy. There's not a lot of swing passes. A lot of times it's single running back, shotgun set, and he's taking a lot of handoffs. So I'm assuming that's how he sees himself moving forward. But this size running back to me is fascinating, Catch, as we move forward. If he stays right around that area, can he still be thought of as like a workhorse back in college? I mean, again, sophomore in high school. There's going to be time to put weight on.
I think he's Jaden Blue 2.0.
Okay.
Like, I think that if you watch Jaden Blue as a sophomore, you're talking about two guys. They're not like for like exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that stands out is like they can go. And that if they get to the second level of the defense, they just scare you to death. Hate to steal a Mac Brownism there, but
scares you to death when he takes off.
But there is a little bit of that. If you were coaching against him at the high school level, that's the thing that you would be worried about is he gets to the second level, and with his level of explosiveness, he's a guy that can go the distance on any carry. Again, I think he's if you were to ask me, I think in a couple of years, he's the replacement for Jaden Blue. I don't think there's really anybody else that they've recruited that's a Jaden Blue kind of like for like, close to it anyway. And I think he is like that. So, when you watch Jaden Blue play and you wonder, well, how might Guillory be able to fit into this offense? Just watch Blue.
So right now, if he's sitting 177, you're seeing him maybe coming into college around that 190, because that's where Blue is right now, around 190.
Yeah. I don't want him any bigger than that. I'm not trying to turn him into – I don't want him to be C.J. Baxter. I want him to get stronger and develop physically, but I want him to keep what makes him special right now at the high school level at Aledo, and that is, as much as anything, just the raw, explosive, and dynamic ability that he brings to the table. You add to – it's funny. I saw a picture of Colin Simmons this week. You've probably seen it too. The picture of the day he committed side by side with his current picture at Texas.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that. That sounds good, though.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And if Guillory doesn't show up soon, I might send it to you sooner rather than later. But I looked at the picture and I had two thoughts, right? Number one was, damn, like he looks good. Like this is what it looks like when Colin Simmons starts to bulk up a little bit. And then the other part was, I hope he doesn't lose the thing that gets him, that makes him special, which is that top 1% of 1% quickness and speed off the edge. The thing that you always worry about a guy when they're developing size in their frame is that they might lose a little bit of that. I always bring up Chance Mock as an example of these things occasionally. We talked about this on The Outsiders maybe a couple of months ago, where Chance was almost a 40-inch vertical 4'4" guy when he showed up at Texas. And Mad Dog bulked him up, and he lost a little bit of that fluidity as a runner and as an athlete that, quite frankly, you wouldn't put anybody in Vince Young's class. But Chance as an athlete, when he showed up on campus 24 years ago, sorry, Chance. Sorry about that.
Had to do the math, didn't you?
When he showed up on campus, he was much closer to Vince than he was Chris Sims as an athlete. And so how these guys develop physically can change who they are on the field. And with Guillory, I think the one thing you would absolutely want is, by any means necessary, you stay at whatever weight you need to so that you can return kicks, so that you can be a weapon in space, so that you can be, again, a guy that on any given play can go the house with a single touch.
I always laugh at the way Chance tells that story about he arrived at campus and they said he was too athletic to be quarterback. He got in the weight room like you talked about, and then Vince Young showed up, and all of a sudden he wasn't athletic enough to be quarterback.
It was like, well, wait a minute. If you just left me the hell alone.
Yeah, just if you hadn't got me on the damn bench press for half the day, maybe we'd be all right. Racine Guillory scheduled to join us today. We are keeping our fingers crossed. Young man who plays at Aledo. So, Ketch, that would be the same school as Jordan Whittington. Do I have that right?
No.
What am I mixing
Jonathan
up?
Gray.
Thank you, Jonathan Gray. What's Whittington's?
Cuero.
Thank you. See, it's a word that ended in O. It's messing me up. Okay. I knew there was another Longhorn fairly recently. Okay. Jonathan Gray, same school. And so I was looking at some of the highlights. By the way, Catch, a little maybe, a tip of the cap to whoever put those highlights together. They made sure to put in a couple highlights against Duncanville where he would have been going head up with Colin Simmons and Alex January and those guys. There's one key play where Simmons is coming around the edge. Guillory is able to get up into the hole before Simmons gets to him. Alex January actually ends up, I think, making that tackle. It's not that the play makes either of those guys look bad, but Guillory does gain yards on the play. So you see the Duncanville logo, you see him gain yards. I'd have put those plays in there too. That was well done by the people making the highlights.
I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud for the second time in the show now.
Yes.
I'm officially a little worried.
Right. We are talking. Yeah.
I'm officially worried. I haven't heard from Racing. Racine. How are we saying it?
It's got to be Racine until he tells us something else, right?
Okay. Well, I think so. Yes. But I'm telling you, I keep looking at it, and I want to call it like a million different things.
Now, keep in mind, I might be going with that pronunciation because isn't that one of the teams in a league of their own? Wasn't it the Racine team that Kit got traded to Racine?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, that is an actual town. Yes.
Yeah.
But so that's spelled differently.
Spelled differently, but I'm assuming it's the same pronunciation. We'll find out if I'm right.
Well.
So the
thing is, I reached out to him yesterday, roughly 25 hours ago.
Uh-huh.
And he said he was down, and he told me to let him know what date, and I did.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And for the record, my man is 15 years old, correct?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
he's 15.
The thing is, when you get older, a day is like a breath in the air. It's like it's a piece of wind blowing by, right?
Yeah.
But when you're 15, a day is like a month.
Plus, you pointed it out. This is a day when he doesn't have school, no schedule. The schedule has changed for him. There might be a workout, but it might be in a different spot. There's things going on. Hey, Catch, my kid's going into a 5-day weekend. I don't know about your kids. My kids got today off. My kids got President's Day off and the Tuesday after President's Day off.
That's like a mini spring break.
Yeah, a little 5-day weekend if you just in case you need it. So Racine might be going through something like that where the Aledo school district says, you know what, just go ahead, take some time. He may be starting a long weekend right now. He may be in the weight room right now. We don't know.
I tell you what, I think we're going to have to reschedule.
Fair enough.
I mean, it is 12:28.
Yeah. I mean, we'll give him time. You know, what are we
going
to do?
We'll take him any time that we can get him.
We'll do a show.
I'm looking for why don't we do this? Do we have another bill we can pay?
We do have a bill to pay because you need to get the people hungry for a little prime shrimp for the weekend.
Can you handle prime shrimp? And I'm going to call Ray and see if we can. I got his number. I can't do that in the live read at the same time.
Fair enough. Okay, I will handle that. You go call Mr. Guillory and see if we can catch up. There we go. All right, we will talk a little prime shrimp here. We made you hopefully thirsty earlier with the discussion of Deep Eddy Vodka and the tasting room. How about a little prime shrimp? 30% off orders of 6 or more packs. If you got a big family out there, it's a great way to do it. Just use that promo code OrangeBloods30 for prime shrimp. They've got all the great flavors, or like Catch always points out, if you want the unseasoned variety and you just know your seasoning's better than everybody's seasoning, we'll go ahead and, get some of that stuff too. Get your order put in this weekend, and it'll be here before you know it. There's your QR code. Check out Prime Shrimp, one of the great partners here at Orange Bloods Live. We do appreciate them. We appreciate all of you as well as we roll through this Friday. Catch trying to catch up with Racine Guillory, the running back of the 2026 class, and he is a Texas commit. Interesting timeline for him. He got the offer from Texas on October the 9th. He took a visit to Oklahoma. He then visited A&M, and then on January 20th is when he verbally committed to Texas. So if we get a hold of him today, we'll ask about that time frame and what was it about the January that felt right to him to commit to Texas. Hopefully we'll be able to get that story from him pretty quickly. We're glad you're joining us today on this Friday. Real quick, while we are getting it all set up, let me also remind you about Specs. I talked about Deep Eddy vodka earlier. When I get stocked up on Deep Eddy vodka, I go to Specs. Or maybe I need some whiskey. That's Specs. Need some beer. That's Specs, because the selection is unbelievable. Here's a little taste of it for you.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
For the record, I think what it is that I'm looking for is those strawberry tartlets. I think that's what they're called. If you look carefully, those little strawberry cookies in the Specs ad, I think they're called strawberry tartlets. I got to try them. Gotta do them.
That's not what was happening at all.
Let's talk slowly to stall until Catch returns. Okay. Was I being accused of going Mr. Mackey there? I don't know if I was going to do that. Drugs are bad. Marijuana's bad. Okay. Catch is trying to call a high school player to see if we can get him on the show. Okay. We're just giving you both ends of the spectrum. Silas Bolden was a minute early. Racine Guillory, stuff's going on. He's sophomore in high school.
I did send the link.
That's cool.
No. I did send the link. Although, because he's 15, maybe I should just say whatever it takes to assume responsibility. You're right, Zoe. My fault.
Absolutely. Could be our fault. And again, difference in the chat has been a lot of cases. That's true. A lot of cases that very well.
That's only because it turns into Boys Town in the chat while we're trying to do a show. That's not even fair.
It's fantastic.
Ben is sometimes the donkey show, just for the record.
Every once in a while. So Catch, as we wait for Guillory, we haven't specifically talked about him and your thoughts. I watched through the video a little bit today. Give me you talked about, describing him as maybe Jaden Blue 2.0. What jumped out to you the first time you were aware of him and started watching Guillory on tape?
First time I watched him was the day that he committed. And I just hadn't seen, when he committed, I was really watching a lot of 2025 film and trying to put the finishing touches on some 2024 rankings. Had seen some 2026 kids, but hadn't watched a lot of Alito. In fact, I had seen Alito play, but I hadn't really focused on the running back position. I remember just watching the game. When I watched this highlight film, you're just caught off guard by like how obscenely it looks like he has sped up tape. He's so explosive that it looks like he's a guy, and it's not the case. He's just really explosive. We're talking about a guy that's going to be a nationally elite, a nationally ranked running back when the 2026 rankings first appear. I don't think he's going to be a 5-star, but I think, Blue was a borderline 5-star when I think maybe ESPN had him ranked as a 5-star early on, and then he didn't play his senior year and kind of got dinged for that. But I think he's going to be like a national top 50 level running back. He can play anywhere in the country, and that explosiveness is the thing that makes him a guy that everybody in the country will want.
And remind me and everybody else that may not follow this detail as closely as you do, for a guy like Racine Guillory, as a sophomore, there's not a star rating yet. When does that happen? Is it beginning of junior year?
No, it'll happen in the next couple of months.
Okay, so it can happen when they're sophomores.
Yeah, we'll start to think of them as juniors. Okay. So, they're going to, for all intent and purposes, they're now juniors.
Okay. And
they'll start to go to camps, Under Armour, Nike, Rivals, everybody's got camps and events and 7-on-7, and he'll be a part of that. He'll be that's usually in the springtime is when those rankings first take shape. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the first 2026 rankings in the next couple of months, maybe by the end of April at the latest. I don't know. I just need to reach out to Adam Gorney and ask him when that is, but that would be my ballpark guesstimate at this point. That's probably about the time. I would say my 2026 rankings will debut in March.
Okay.
So that will be slightly before Rivals or not. In the meantime, I guess we can continue talking about the Texas running back, and haven't heard from him on the phone, haven't seen anything from him on Twitter. I'm going to assume that we're just going to need to change the thumbnail and the title of the video when we're done today.
That might need to happen.
Hey, it's Friday, folks. And look, I can't even be mad. Because like Chad said, he's 15.
Yeah, and technically the title could still apply. Is his pledge as strong as his oak?
In retrospect, that's funny.
I mean, he's 15. The man doesn't have like a administrative assistant. He doesn't have a secretary.
That's truer words have never been spoken, Mr. Hastings.
Yeah. By the way, Catch, just real quick, today's 2 Kirk Bowles jokes that jumped out to me were, 1, Kirk would chat via telegraph, and Kirk sends ravens. I really enjoy that one. Kirk sends ravens for you folks. Yeah. Oh, and also earlier I thought of one. Did you know at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, Kirk Bowles got 2 questions? Sorry. All right, we can move on. We can move on. I don't know how it starts, but it is now the most organic thing in the chat. It just flowers out of nowhere. I don't know why.
It's replaced the sheep.
It has. Well,
for a long time, it was sheep jokes.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. This morning, all Anwar had to say was, what job would Chad get if Chad was on the UT staff? And it was Bevo coordinator, and then sheep jokes came in. It was real quick.
Oh, so those are on standby at any time when we need them.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
By the way, this is probably a good time to – I don't have buy or sell questions prepared today, Chad.
Is that right?
You know what? Racine and I together or Racine.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he was listening to the beginning of the show and heard you say his name wrong, and it made him mad, and he's like, I'm not going on that show.
It's Lewis Sines, the former football player from Texas that went to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I maybe just mix it. It's spelled the same way too. Cine.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what's getting me.
Okay.
Anyway.
There you go.
I say this.
Yeah.
Let's just get into buy or sell and call it a day.
All right. We can do it. So you want me to go first since you don't have your questions ready?
Yeah, but I will make up a question in the next 2 minutes while I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
While I'm answering questions, I will think of a question that'll be widely appropriate for the end of the week and the end of a show that's gone off the rails.
Yes, indeed. All right. And by the way, for all you buy or sell fans, get ready. This batch of buy or sell includes my favorite Jeff Ketchum superpower. Here we go. But it's not this one. Buy or sell number 1, Catch. Texas will fight tomorrow, but Houston will win. Single digits.
Buy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Texas basketball that I keep thinking is for most of the, since they were able to get Dylan Dessou back, they're a 2-man team with Dessou and Asmus. And if those 2 guys are on, they can beat anybody. When those 2 guys aren't on, they can lose to almost anybody, right? I wouldn't say to anybody. They've been better than that this season. But the team is starting to play better team basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a third guy that can show up tomorrow. Couldn't Tyrese Hunter show up and put together another really good game without 4 or 5 games being in between his last really good game. Against Houston on the road, that's what you're going to need. I do think Texas is probably going to lose the game by single digits, but I think we've reached a point with this Texas team. They play better on the road in conference play than they have at home. I think tomorrow's going to end up being a really good game. 12 o'clock CBS tomorrow for those of you keeping score and just needing to be reminded. It'll be an early game. You can be done with it and then go on with the rest of your day. About right around 2:15, you're all done. No more basketball.
Yep. And if you want to know, Lenardi right now would say Texas is an 8 seed. We'll see what this game does.
That surprised me. They were like a 7 in bracketology, and then they won a game, and then I looked, and then they dropped down to an 8-9 game, and I was like, well, what happened? They didn't lose, but I digress.
Yeah, it's weird stuff. All right, stay with basketball. Buy or sell number 2, Catch. Steph beats Sabrina in the 3-point contest, but you think Caitlin Clark would beat them both?
Buy. What the hell? Just to anger some people who are on tilt on Orange Bloods because they feel like they're getting Caitlin Clark shoved down their throat because, and let's be clear, she broke the record shooting from the logo. If you can't be impressed with that, you're just angry at the wrong things.
It worked out really well, didn't it? When she needed the record, it was early in a game. It was like her 8th point of the game. So it wasn't like it wasn't a big important shot at the end of a game. It was just get it out of the way. And she told her teammates, like, no, I think I'll go like logo. What do you mean? Oh, to break the record. It would be extra impact. And she nailed it.
Look, if you do that and miss, people talk about you and say, look, she was glory chasing, and this is what happens when you do that and you fail. Instead, she just hit the shot. It was incredible. I think she would do real well in a 3-point shooting competition.
I think
she
so
can
too.
clearly shoot from the NBA line. That's not an issue.
Right. No, she's got that taken care of.
They ought to let her do that this weekend. And you know what?
They should.
People can get all upset and angry and they're forcing women's sports on us. I don't plan on watching tomorrow's NBA All-Star festivities. But if it was Steph versus Caitlin Clark, and if they gave her a free pass and said, it's okay, go participate in the NBA festivities, you maintain your eligibility, you're not going to be out for the NCAA had a good heart.
Right.
Smart about it. I would watch that. I would go from I really don't care to I'm definitely going to check out Steph against Caitlin Clark. That would be a lot of fun.
So let me make sure we're clear on the rules here. Would you make her shoot from the NBA line, but she gets to she gets to shoot a women's ball? Is that what you do to make sure it's sort of all things equal?
No, she got to shoot with a man's ball.
Okay. Men's ball, NBA line.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I'd watch that too. All right, Catch. We'll stay with basketball.
And I'll tell you why.
What?
Because if she won, but was using the smaller ball, all of the assholes would come out.
Well, don't you assume Sabrina's going to be shooting with the women's ball tomorrow?
Because I hadn't thought about it because I don't plan on watching. I haven't spent any time thinking about it.
Okay, I'll let you know because I am going to check it out. I'm assuming she gets to shoot from the women's line and will shoot with a women's ball, and Steph is at men's line, men's ball. I don't know. We'll see.
That's some bullshit.
I don't know. We're going to see. We'll have to see what it is.
That's it. That's not good. Let her shoot from the men's line. I don't really care what ball she uses. I mean, ultimately, a person should be able to mostly use what they're most comfortable and familiar with. But it is an NBA All-Star 3-point contest. It needs to be the NBA line. I'm steadfast in that.
To be fair, it's a separate exhibition event. It's not the 3-point competition. She's not in the 3-point competition, and neither is he. It's just a separate event. When the 3-point contest is over, those two are going to walk out there.
I don't care.
Okay.
It still needs to be the 3-point line from the NBA.
Fair enough. All right.
Ask yourself this. Would Caitlin Clark shoot from the NBA 3-point line? I think so.
No, she'd shoot from the opposite baseline. You know that. She and Steph would be throwing from the parking lot.
And that's kind of what I want to watch. Yeah. Is just those two shooting No shot inside of 40 feet.
Yeah, those two need to have the McDonald's commercial with Jordan and Bird.
Bingo.
That's what we need. All right, Catch. Speaking of, get your powers ready. Buy or sell number 3. Tomorrow, Michael Jordan has a birthday, and you can guess the number within 1 year. Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all time. How old is he, Catch?
All right, look. He wins North Carolina the championship in 82. So he would have been 18 in 1982. So now we add 42 years on top of that. I mean, the math says it should make him 60.
60's your guess?
18, and it's been 42 years since 1982. So, yeah, I'm going to say 60, and I'm going to say that I'm 1 year away, one way or the other.
60 is the guess. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a wizard. Tomorrow, Michael Jordan will become 61 years old.
Yeah!
Well done. In fact, you are perfectly accurate because right now he is 60. Well done. Tomorrow, he becomes 61. That is fantastic.
The trick behind my skill is to always place a person and their age at a specific time and place, and then just do the math from there.
Yeah, it works really, really well for you. All right, let's see about this one. Buy or sell number 4. There is a UFC card tomorrow night, and you can tell me 2 things about it.
All right, well, number 1, there is a main event and a co-main event. And number 2, I won't be there.
You know what? I gave you the Cliff Clavin possibility, and you Cliff Clavined it. Well done. Well done. That's good. Good job. Good job. Both those things are true. And finally, Jeff Ketchum.
I miss Cliff Clavin. What a character he was.
He was fantastic. Little known fact that, Nami. All right. Buy or sell number 5, Catch. Tomorrow is also Rene Russo's birthday. Hottest Rene is the Thomas Crown Affair.
Ooh.
There are some hot Rene Russos in this world.
Okay, let me just do this. I'm going to Google hottest Rene Russo. I just want to see what pops up, okay?
Okay. Hottest Rene Russo.
Well, no, that's a YouTube video, and I can't watch that. I'm going to say buy.
Okay.
I can't think of any. I'm going through the Lethal Weapons.
She's
incredible in the Thomas Crown Affair.
She is great there. I'm a Major League Rene Russo guy. That's always going to be my Rene Russo. Like that Rene Russo for me is kind of like the Elizabeth Shue from Karate Kid. Like it's a little more wholesome in some ways, but come on, man. The sexy librarian vibe with a baseball player, that's the one I always go to. But
you know what? I changed my answer. I'm going to sell. I want your answer. It's a better answer than mine.
Fair enough. I will say, though, if you ever see a certain scene in Thomas Crown Affair pop up, you'll get why people dig that movie. She is sexy as hell in that movie. She's fantastic. All right, there you go. There's my buy or sell. What do you got, Catch?
Buy or sell number 1. You'll watch the NBA All-Star game on Sunday. Live. Not on DVR. And it can be slightly delayed, but it has to be, you have to watch it while the game's actually taking place. Buy or sell?
I'll sell. Can't guarantee it. Can't guarantee it's going to be that close to live. Will I watch? Yes, but I love using my DVR on All-Star Weekend, so can't guarantee it. I'll sell.
Buy or sell number 2, Taylor Swift donated $100,000 to each of the 2 families that lost tragically a family member in the Kansas City parade deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Buy or sell? That's just part of what makes Taylor Swift Taylor Swift. She's got a good heart.
Oh, that's definitely a buy. There's no doubt about that. And I had not heard that there's a second death. I'd only heard about
a guy died. So a woman DJ died. Apologies, I don't know her name other than I know that she was a local area disc jockey at a radio station. And then a second death was a guy.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. No, that's a buy on Taylor. She's incredible. Yeah, the heart that she has been really interesting. When she was in Brazil, there was a young girl that died of heat exhaustion, like before the show. Taylor didn't find out about it till after the show. And then while she was still in Brazil, she got the whole family to come to a show and, paying her respects and just trying to be as respectful as she could. That is kind of what she's about. So horrible situation, but I am not surprised she did that.
By the way, I think like almost another $100,000 has been raised on the back end of that as Swifties follow Swift's lead.
Oh, wow.
And have looked to raise even more money. So that doesn't, the money doesn't change anything. It's obviously a beyond heartbreaking set of events that occurred in Kansas City. But, every once in a while, there's still a reminder that there's good in the world, and Swift and the Swifties helping do that. Buy or sell number 3, changing direction slightly. There was a report out earlier. It has now been denied by Stephen A. Smith.
Mm-hmm.
But the report earlier today was that he had to go to the hospital yesterday at NBA All-Star. He's the coach tonight of the celebrity game.
Oh, right. Okay.
And one of his players is Micah Parsons. Mm-hmm. And what had originally been reported earlier today on ESPN was that Micah Parsons crossed him over on the court, caused Stephen A. Smith to fall down, and sent him to the hospital as a byproduct.
Damn.
Buy or sell number 3. You don't even care if that's true. You're going to remember it, that it happened just like that for the rest of your life.
Buy. As a Cowboys fan, there's very little happiness I get when it comes to Stephen A. Smith because he's right like 98% of the time on the Cowboys. So the idea that a Cowboy might have crossed him over and he hit the deck, that'll make me feel good. Yeah. Bye.
Buy or sell number 4. And I hate to potentially go negative on a Friday when we lost our interview midway through the show. Mm-hmm. Buy or sell number 4. This right now, while she's a senior in college, will be as good as it ever gets for Caitlin Clark. The world will forever care less when she's no longer playing college basketball.
Ooh, that's interesting. The world will when she posts up. I'm gonna sell and say that whatever the interest level is, I think there's at least enough. I think there's enough following of the biggest stars in the WNBA that she'll still get that same level of love. If she's throwing a 40-45 spot up, I think the highlights will be there. If she's chasing records, they'll talk about it. Is it going to be packed houses every night and stuff like that? No, but I still think there's an awareness of it. The NBA guys are connected to the WNBA players in a way that I think it would still sort of be there. So I'll sell and still say she'll have a certain level if she keeps going.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. It's a 1980s, late 1980s, hotter than.
Okay.
Birthday girl.
Okay.
Renee Russo in her prime, at her absolute apex.
Yes.
Hotter than Daryl Hannah.
Oh, this is an interesting one. I have one for you that I thought of. I thought you were about to go here, but you didn't. So, I got a different one for you, but I like this one first. Prime on prime. I got to get my prime on prime. Daryl Hannah.
Is Daryl Hannah in Splash? Is that her prime?
Boy, it's right. It's there. That's a great Daryl Hannah.
She's naked. She's coming out of the ocean. She's got that long blonde hair. They're both tall drinks of water.
Yeah, underrated Daryl Hannah was Roxanne Daryl Hannah. She was really pretty in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, she was nice.
Underrated movie, by the way. I like Roxanne.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm also a Steve Martin guy, so that movie speaks to me on multiple levels. I'm going to buy and go with Russo because it's a hotter than. Now, I'm not saying Daryl Hannah's not hot, but for me, Renee Russo, just a little more of kind of my groove of what is hot. Yeah, I'll go Renee. And again, I got to go.
Daryl Hannah.
What's that?
I'm going Daryl Hannah.
Okay. No, hey, Daryl's impressive. And she was, I don't think it is anymore. Wasn't she married to it's not Cameron Crowe. Cameron Crowe was married to the Wilson sister from
You want to know
Heart.
who Daryl Hannah was married to?
Who was Daryl Hannah was married to a musical person, wasn't she? For years? Who am I thinking of? It was Nancy Wilson, I think, and Cameron Crowe. Who was Daryl Hannah with?
Neil Young.
Neil Young. That's who it is. I knew it was a music guy. Neil Young was married to Daryl Hannah for a while. How about that?
I might change my answer.
Ah, I see. You searched the wrong thing, huh?
Well, no, I don't know.
All right, I have a counter hotter than.
I'm stumped, but go ahead.
Here it is. Back to Renee. Staying with Renee. Tomorrow, Catch, Renee Russo will turn 70 years old for the record.
Oh gosh, okay.
70.
Wait, Renee Russo's 70 tomorrow?
She'll be 70 tomorrow.
God, that makes me feel old. First of all, how is she 23 years older than me?
Basically, if the guy at the winery pulls out the bottle and says, this is a 70-year-old bottle of wine, and you go, 70? And he says, just sit down, and I'm going to pour you a glass. You're going to figure out what's about to happen. Okay. Renee Russo, this is right now, tomorrow on her birthday.
So
Renee
she's
Russo.
69 today.
She is 69 today, and tomorrow she'll be 70. Renee Russo, on her 70th birthday, hotter than Diane Lane.
So,
okay.
Now, is it 70 on? Is it in the current or is it prime on prime?
No, this is tomorrow. Tomorrow.
I have to look it up. Hold on. Because I don't know what either one of them looks like today.
Diane Lane has got to be like what? Late 50s? Early 60s.
Diane Lane is older than that. She was
59.
82.
Oh, I nailed it.
Came out, right? In 1982.
She's 59, Catch.
She is 59. Okay.
Ooh, 50.
Well, look, what was I about to say? In 1982, she was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You throw the 42 on there, she was 17.
I never doubt your skills. I've told you. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite things about you. The power is incredible.
Diane Lane is hotter. Period.
I don't know. I might.
Period.
Might go with Russo on that.
And honestly, any man that doesn't pick Diane Lane is not a true American.
Wow. Happy birthday to Renee tomorrow, Michael Jordan tomorrow. Also, Ketch and I are both big fans of Jeremy Allen White from The Bear and Shameless and that whole thing. Jeremy is 33 tomorrow. God love him. Also, Ketch, give me your confidence level on True Detective for Sunday night.
How am I supposed to answer that question? I'm Googling Renee Russo right now. My confidence level for True Detective is low.
Okay.
I'm afraid that we are all guilty of thinking this show is going to be better than it actually is. And I don't know what they can do now to make me happy. They've made me unhappy as a viewer. There's an hour left in this series, and we're about to go into some caves. If I can be completely honest, scaring me to death.
We're about to go into some caves.
I'm afraid that we're going to see ice caves and that we're all going to have nightmares about being stuck in ice caves in our dreams.
Yeah. By the way, is there any better idea in the world than using that creepy ass Billie Eilish song to intro that show? God, that's creepy. I mean,
I just feel like we're not going to find out what was throwing oranges at people. That's just going to be something that happened. Say, hey, why were there oranges being thrown out of the dark? No answer.
I really do believe every time. It's like, you know how it is, Catch? When you remember when you were a kid and you get all your Halloween candy and you just start smashing as much as you can, and then an hour and a half in, you realize you should have eaten slower. Like, that's what True Detective does every time. Like, we're going to jump in and we're going to get all these ideas. Well, what if we did that? And what if we did that? And what if we did that? Did you see Vince Vaughn? Have you seen Matthew McConaughey? Dude, it's Mahershala Ali. But then they get to like middle of episode 4 and go, wait, how many do we have? 6. Wait, I thought it was 13. Oh, it's 6. Oh, man. And then they just throw anything they can think of to get to the end of 6, and it never lands, ever. I don't know why.
I do not have high hopes.
I don't either. And hey, speaking of not high hopes, my daughter has come up with an idea. We're going to go see a movie to see how bad it is this weekend. She wants to go see Madam Web with Dakota Johnson.
Might go see that just to look at Dakota Johnson.
Thank you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be looking at all of those ladies in those tight superhero outfits, but she's been reading that it's being called one of the worst superhero movies ever. So, we're at the bottom of the barrel. Here's The Flash. Here's Thor: Love and Thunder. We're going to see where this movie is.
Don't you? So, you have to stay mum. This is content for Monday.
Okay.
Monday, there will be a Madam Web buy or sell question.
Fair enough.
So just save it all. I don't even, no spoilers, no nothing.
Okay.
You'll reveal it on Monday.
I will. Yes. We're going to go see it on Sunday. We'll see it on Sunday, so it'll be fresh. Whatever it is, it'll be fresh on Monday.
By the way, no spoilers here, but Cotton says Madam Web is brutal. Sydney Sweeney is hot, though.
I know. Thank you, Cotton. That's what I'm counting on. That is what I'm counting on, man. That's another beautiful part of the pretty people rule. Whatever it is you're attracted to, if you can look at that for an hour and a half, oh my God. Like, that helps so much. So much.
You know, in the old days, in like New York City, this movie might have just played in a different kind of movie theater. All right, let's wrap it up, Chad.
All right, fair enough. Unfortunately, we did not talk to Racine Guillory today, but we will hope to do that in the future. He's a 2026 commitment for the Longhorns, so definitely keep that name in mind, out of Aledo.
I told Chad before the show started, I cannot offer you the same confidence level that I did with Silas Bolden.
You were correct. That's okay. We understand.
You've done this enough times to know that when we're talking about recruits, anything goes.
Yeah, you just never know. You never know. But we hope he has a great weekend. We hope everybody in Aledo has a great weekend. All right. Also, thanks for supporting Orange Bloods Live. What's that?
Do we?
Of course. I hope everyone in Aledo has a good weekend.
I don't know that I like Aledo that much. There's got to be some terrible people in Aledo. I don't want those people to have good weekends.
I really don't I try not to think of cities as having terrible people. I'm thinking
every city has terrible people.
I understand that. But when I think of those cities, I think of the good folks in Aledo. I'm thinking of that nice old lady in Aledo that always brings somebody chicken tenders on a Sunday. I don't care about everybody else. I want her to have a good weekend.
Why did you just say the good people of Aledo?
Okay. To the good people of Aledo,
we hope you have a great weekend.
And to the truly sinister among you in Aledo, how dare you? How dare you?
Now I can co-sign. That's all. Little clarification. Because look, there could be a serial killer in Aledo watching the show right now and feel vindicated because we just wished all the people of Aledo a good weekend.
To all of you bad eggs in Aledo, y'all may need Jesus. How about that?
No. They may need something.
They may need something.
Maybe Buddha, like whatever.
They may need help. All of it. Make sure to check out.
Honestly, I might say that a therapist might be as good as Jesus at that point.
Whatever you need, get whatever help you need. All of a sudden, the bad people of Aledo are on the show. I don't know how that happened.
Somebody in Aledo right now. There's either a woman who hands people chicken tenders on Sunday who's feeling very seen. Or there's a really bad person in Aledo right now who maybe will seek help because we told them you know, Jesus, Buddha, a therapist, all of them together.
Yep. Grandpa Maggie.
I feel like we're doing good in the world, Chad. We're like Taylor Swift, but different.
We really are. Grandpa Maggie with the chicken tenders. I see you. Just know I see you. Orange Bloods Live. Go check it out throughout the weekend. We've got some videos coming out from the Mark Henry interview, from the Kieran interview, where Kieran gives Sark maybe the greatest advice Ketch and I've heard in a long time. Those will be filtering out for you in the next couple days. So get your notifications and you'll know when all that stuff is going down. Everybody have a great weekend. Until Monday at high noon, we are House Divided. Have a great weekend, whether you live in Aledo or not.